All right, I'm William Nozak. This is WordPress 101. I got invited to a local college, a university here, and I taught this there. And I figured, you know what? This is probably applicable to some of our Search Hustle users. So here's some pain points. I have a website built in WordPress, and I have no clue how to navigate the CMS. I have no idea what a CMS is or what it can do or cannot do. I'm just getting started, and I'm bootstrapping the web development. I just like to learn, and I don't know why I'm here. I think I got turned around. So hopefully one of these apply to you. So here's the quick summary of what I'm going to cover. What's the difference between WordPress.com, WordPress.org, what the login page is, where it's located, some of the screen options, and then all of these things are located on the CMS, the menu. We're going to cover them. So WordPress. What is WordPress? It's a content management system, and it's open source. That's the great thing about it. There's so many developers out there that can do development on your website. It's not like you're put in a custom where only a few people speak that language and you get put in their pipeline. You're behind other people that maybe are paying more. There's only a certain amount of people that can use that language. You're stuck to just those few developers. WordPress is adopted by, I don't know, everybody. And so it's applicable to dang near probably 70-80% of sites out there. Very rarely do you need a custom. There are certainly situations where you need a custom. And I can always cover those in a different lecture. But for the majority of businesses that are lead gen or e-commerce or selling a SaaS or franchisors, really the majority of the businesses out there can really use WordPress, and it can help keep time to development down. It's flexible, and it's just super easy to use. WordPress.org versus the .com. Now the .com is like a blogger. It's like a blog site, and you can see it's different. Here's kind of what you'll find when you go there, or what you would have found. And so .com is a blogger site. It's really similar to blogger.com. WordPress.org is a CMS. That's the open source, free to use content management system. So when we're talking about different things you'll find on the dashboard or the back end, this is not on the back end, but this is actually how you're going to get to the back end. Typically, it's nested at your URL or domain.com/wp-admin. Once you log in here, as you can see, there's a login screen here. Then you're going to see right there at the back end, you should see some screen options. And I've shown you just a couple things, but you can check these boxes on what you want to see on this back dashboard. You can move these things around, and it really kind of gives you just a quick snapshot of what you see as soon as you log in. Now, the main thing for WordPress is the menu. And so if we start at the top, you should have usually at the very top a thing that says updates. And this updates is going to be like a catch-all. It's going to be where you update your WordPress, your CMS. It's going to be where you update your plugins, and then it's going to be where you update your theme. Now, I don't know why they put it in this order. I've always updated my WordPress first, my theme second, and my plugins third. I'm sure there's a reason why it's in this order, but I've always done it that way. The WordPress, theme, and then plugins. Every time you log in, though, it's just good housekeeping to keep things updated. WordPress is notorious for getting hacked, and it's not because WordPress is easy to hack. It's because these things go out of compliance, or there's holes or ways where people have found that they can attack a plugin or a theme or the CMS. And unless you update and shore up those vulnerabilities, then your website and your property does become vulnerable. If you keep it up to date, it really is super, super secure. So we want to update the CMS, update the theme, update the plugins. But before we ever touch this, we always want to have backups. Hopefully you've got some sort of backup at your server. If not, then server backups are ideal. Of course, you can always do a manual backup, like add all-in-one and then like a Dropbox extension, and you can drop, we used to do this manually before we had server backups. We would just drop it into our Dropbox and then do updates, because before you know it, one of these things is no longer working, or these developers that developed it don't know how to make money off of their developments, and they no longer support it because they had to start working a different job. So server-side backups, plug-in backups if you need. Plug-in backups can get weighty on the on the theme, and I certainly am not a big fan of these. These can get really weird and really wonky, and especially if you get hacked, it can cause all kinds of problems. So then next down, you'll see posts. And posts and pages are very similar. Posts, however, would be things that we could categorize. So you can see we've got some categories chosen here. You can always put them in tags. And this is just a list of your posts, basically a new place to create a post. Very different from a page. Not very different, but it just has a different, we use them differently. So if I hit new post, I'm going to be right into the builder. So here's what a typical WordPress builder is going to open up, and it's probably Gutenberg. It would look like Gutenberg now, but you can see this little purple thing here. Since this website has Divi on it, you could click here. Not that I can click there, but you could click here, and it would open up the Divi builder. That's one thing about Divi and some themes is they have builders built into them. Divi is one of them. We certainly don't use these any longer because they're heavy. They're inherently too heavy right out of the box. But on this development, Divi's still there. So you might click open Divi and then you can create right from there, or you might just do it right here in the editor. So things you'll want to assign right away in a post would be the title. And usually the title is also going to set the slug, but somewhere over here, you're going to be able to edit, modify that slug. Remember, that is a permalink. And if we hit publish, then it's a permalink. If you change that slug, you do want to add a redirection in your redirection tool, just to so that we don't leave some 404 out there, some strange slug structure. Visual and text, right here is where you'll add that content, unless you open up the Divi builder in this case, or if you had Elementor, which is a builder, or WP Bakery, which is a worse builder. And then your page settings down the side here. So you've got different sections, publish, information you need, what style of post is it, what category you need, what tags, featured image. All of that's going to be down here on this right bar here. If you hit publish, this blue button, it would then push it live to the site. Hopefully you've got your settings set up where it will publish to a blog roll. And then the format right here, category, tags, Yoast SEO. So this box right below your input box here, if you opened up the Divi builder, it's still pushed down to the bottom. This right here is your Yoast SEO, and this is what we call page SEO. Yoast has really made it very easy for you to add metadata and all kinds of additional information for bots. And if you see these three little boxes here, this is really where you're going to add information. And if I hit edit snippet, I open this up, and I think there's even some other boxes here that you can really fill out as robustly as possible. And of course, it's important setting a featured image that's appropriate size and makes sense for the page and the property. Now, the next thing down the menu would be the media library. And you can add new assets into the media library, or while you're building pages and posts and you know what assets are needed on those pages, you'll want to file name them before they ever hit the media library, title them and alt text them appropriate for the page or the post that they're going to be presented on. And so that's why I don't just dump a bunch of things in the media library. I pay attention to what I'm building and add it at that time so that I can inject a little bit of SEO into these things. And then at all costs, if we can, be less than 100 KB per asset. In some situations, it's just not possible. When you need something to serve in high quality, you may have to push it up to 150 KB. Really beyond that, I have to ask myself, is the loss in speed going to be worth what this image is trying to do for the page? So pages, same builder as for posts. You can build your pillar content. Usually it will be like our interiors, our home page will be built on a page. All the interiors are going to be on pages, usually the about page, contact page. They're marked up a little bit differently internally than a post. Really, they have the same functionality. But really the main pages of a website, we want to build those in pages. And then anything beyond that, we would just build in posts. Some people have switched this though, and they really build everything into pages. And really, I don't really think there's a right or a wrong here. The nice benefit is we can use categories and tags with posts. And it does some other things that are really specific to posts and how people consume posts. Comments are usually turned off for a site. If you don't turn it off, or at least make an approval process, you will have thousands of people spamming your comment box, trying to get links, trying to have all kinds of dirty nonsense on your post. That's why usually we're just going to turn this off. Some sites it makes sense to have comments on, and it actually adds to the SEO and the value of those posts. That is, however, very few sites, and when it does become applicable and necessary, you still have to monitor the comments, and really that can take a lot of development time. So be cautious with this. For the most part, you can deactivate it, and usually you can bulk action delete and not even worry about it. These appearance. So appearance is the next thing down, and this is where you're going to find themes, customize widgets, menus, background, pop-up themes, theme editor. You will always be using themes. You will always be using menus. You will always be using the theme editor. These are three different spots that you really use regularly in web development. So under themes, this is where your nested themes are, and you can see this needs cleanup. Like, this is just needs housekeeping. So 2015 is never going to be used on this website. So you click in here, and there's going to be a little button in the bottom that says delete. You delete that. And then 2016, I'm sure it's deleted now, but when this was shot, 2016, 2017, 2015, all three of these, you need to click in here. Oops, can't click that. And then the bottom it says delete. Even this child theme 2, that's a mistake, should be deleted. And then figuring out which of the active, the Divi actual and then the Divi child. We don't really do child themes anymore. We use insert header footer, which is actually way lighter, and it's actually a little bit better. You can add scripts and markup to individual pages, not just the theme header. But the different themes, child themes, Divi, elegant themes, you can find some great themes there. This is, a lot of the themes we build in are Astra. It's super light, it's SEO friendly, but there's a lot of similar ones like Oceans, WP, I believe. There's just a lot of light ones out there. Usually you're going to be building from scratch for a big brand, and so you really just need the lightest theme, the lightest builder, because everything's going to get built not custom, but it's going to be a custom design. It's not going to be in a custom per se, because WordPress is still the back end. WordPress is really still the front end unless you attach it to a bootstrap front end. I don't want to get in the weeds on that, but anyway, menus. So you're going to have several menus here, and you'll be able to right here click this and rotate through the menus. And then as you rotate through those menus, you can have different items that are, you can see I've got them nested, different little pieces that are nested. And then if I wanted to look at my footer menu, I would just over here click next or accept, and it would show me my footer menu. And I can choose between pages, posts, projects, products, some custom links. There's all kinds of things you can put in a menu. And then your theme editor, this is where you can add additional PHP and scripts. Usually you would add that into a Divi child theme or an insert header footer. Right here on the header.php file is where we add those things. And however, when you update the theme, such as when Divi's updated in this case, it would wipe any scripts or TXT files that were added here. So that's why you added in a child theme, because it sits on top of your theme. So when I update that theme, it resets the files appropriately, updates some of the language, and doesn't wipe the scripts and TXT files that I've added to it. That's the power of a child theme. However, there are plugins that are very quicker, lighter versions of a child theme, such as insert header footer, things like that. Now, next down would be your plugins, and you really want to keep your plugins super light. You can see this has way too many plugins. You want to choose wisely. Plugins don't always act nice together. In fact, you can bust a site so quickly by using plugins that just don't work well together. So Yoast is a no-brainer. You're going to need an editor unless the theme has an editor built into it. I warn you against that because they're inherently heavy. They are historically easier to use and come with a really cool functionality. Whether or not you use any or all of that functionality, it still loads on every page. I certainly would stay away from them. We did start off, we've built hundreds of sites in Divi. Wouldn't do it again, even though we love that theme. It's just... they're just more SEO friendly themes out there. Certainly you could strip it down and make it easier, but why when you can use something like an Astra or something much lighter and built for SEO. So child theme configurators, all-in-one WP migrator, redirection. Just want to be very cautious with your setup. And then next down would be users, and you always want to make sure you are following who the administrators are. You don't want to have too many admins. Admins can go in and junk things up. You can always modify what they're able to do with WordPress. You can always just research changing an administrator's rights or capabilities. You can, of course, make people editors. Subscribers would be someone that joins the site, like if they need to pay a bill or they want to join to follow along on something, and you would modify that role right here. And some of this is required, some of it's not. And then you can hit add new user. That's how you would add a new admin. Now in your tools, and you can see this is next down on the toolbar, you've got things like available tools, import, export, Swift Performance Lite. This is a plugin. You would not use this plugin, and here it's used when this was built. Child themes, redirection, of course, is a fantastic, very light plugin that allows you to set your redirects. When there are 404s, you want to redirect them to new assets. In some 404s, you might just let die out, and there's just no point. But you do need to have a tool that allows you to set those things up. These do not come on WordPress. Like, this is an additional functionality. This is additional functionality from a plugin. This is additional functionality from plugin. These three here. The rest of this you would see naturally. So this is additional functionality, additional functionality, additional functionality, additional functionality. Usually what you're seeing right on a WordPress right out of the box is tools, settings. Now in tools, you've got some of your plugins may nest, and so when you've added a plugin to your site and you can't figure out where it's at, first thing you can check in tools, and sometimes it's nested here. Example, redirection, child theme configurator, and not much here for a typical user other than that. Settings, super important, these first 4 boxes. Really the first part of this software is the main part that you use. And look, you can even see there's more plugins that have nested here on settings. More areas where some of these plugin creators have just thought it makes more sense to nest those, the additional functionality that you might get to. So let's talk about general writing, reading permalinks. So in general, if I click general, you've got your site title, your tagline. You want to make sure that your WordPress URL and your site address match up if they're supposed to. In most cases, they do. You want, of course, want to make sure it's HTTPS. I mean, all sites have to be secure, S being secure. You want to make sure that it's resolving both of them either to the www or the no www, wherever it's resolving. And really, that's the main stuff here. And then the main email address here. Whenever someone submits a form or something gets submitted to the website, if it doesn't fire correctly, usually it will kick out to this address right here. So I usually have mine so that I can track and make sure that all forms are working appropriately. Here's writing. So we can set the default post category here. Whenever we write a new post, it can automatically default into a category. You've got some mail server settings here, not much used on this page. And then here's reading. So this is where we're going to set your home page. So you're going to hit a static page for the home page and then pick wherever that page is that you built. And then also your post or your blog role, you can pick the page that you've developed. Usually it's already set as blog. However, we've went and created a new blog role called article archive. One thing, you can set how many posts show up, how much are syndicated feeds, how much of the article shows up. Really this is really kind of visual aesthetics and how it needs to present on yours. Of course, you can override these settings with CSS and different plugins and themes. And then always make sure when you're ready for it to be visible by search engine, make sure that this isn't accidentally clicked. This will certainly keep it out of the search engine, and that could be a real problem. And then the permalink structure, it's usually, I think, set to probably month and name maybe, or plain. I don't know. We always go to a custom structure. We used to put in category and then post name so that it's by category and post name. We've really gotten away in our builds from using categories. We still use tags. So usually our custom structure is just going to kill this category and it's just going to be straight up post name. We're trying to shorten URLs. Google likes shorter URLs. So we're really trying to kill that category just using tags. When we can. Not all builds we can do it that way. So theme options, and so here you can see nested as Divi. And so Divi, if I roll over it, it's going to have theme options, theme customizer, module customizer. When you start to use a theme for your development or for the company you work with, you're really going to get used to what you can find here. And you don't, unlike us, who have to get used to, tens of different themes in some cases, where things are nested and built. That's why it's really built. If you're in marketing, it's good to just work with one theme because you just get used to where everything's located. But inside this theme options, there's going to be a lot of override settings. And I'm not going to go through every tab in this one. Maybe if you look for a Divi theme, we can break down all of these different things, but these settings can sometimes override those WordPress settings. And so this is where you're going to want to upload your logo, maybe reset your color picker to your brand guidelines. I always used to just toggle these on, toggle them off, and figure out what they show and what they don't show, and go from there. And then each one of these has more options nested here and here. Like Builder will nest some other options here. So there's a ton of integrations and things, and there's even a caching system in here somewhere around SEO or somewhere where you have to sometimes come and cache this. So there's a lot of settings inside this alone. So that's WordPress 101. That's the back end, and that's the great thing about WordPress is it's a super easy to use back end. The plugins that you add are going to add additional functionality that kind of pull it more and more out of the box. And then as you add a theme, it's going to give you more and more options. As you add a builder, such as Elementor, it's going to give you more and more options. And then you just go from there. You just trial and error, make sure you've got backups either set on your server or somewhere where you're backing things up, and then you just start to experiment and figure out what functionality you can get from different things. And then you're always pinging it. You're always seeing what the speed is, what the latency is on things. Because speed matters, right? Beauty and speed, they're always fighting. So we want to have a beautiful development, but not at the cost of our speed. So we want to have the right amount of beauty and aesthetics and light beauty and speed at the same time. Anyway, that's WordPress 101, and I'm probably going to make a 102 because there's a lot you can know about WordPress to pull it out of the box. If you need to go back and watch that, go ahead. If not, I'll see you in the next module.